You have $500 in your checking account. You're carrying $3,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest. The question feels impossible. Should you throw every dollar at that debt? Or should you build a safety net first? Most people freeze here. They think it's one or the other. Pay off debt or save. Not both. But here's what I learned. There's a specific order that actually works. And it's not what you'd expect. This is the sequence that changes everything. 3 steps. No fancy math. Just clarity on what comes first, second, and third. Let's start with the problem everyone faces. You're stressed about debt. You're stressed about not having savings. You feel like you're failing at both. So you do nothing. Or you pick one and regret it. Maybe you throw $200 at credit card debt. But then your car breaks down. You have no emergency fund. Back to debt. You borrowed again. That's the cycle. Or maybe you save $200 every month. But your debt sits there, growing interest. You feel like you're making progress, but you're actually getting worse. The math isn't working. Here's the reframe. You're not actually choosing between debt and savings. You're building a foundation. That foundation has 3 layers, and they stack in a specific order. Layer 1 is tiny. It's just $500 to $1,000. That's your emergency fund. Not 6 months, not 3 months. Just enough to cover your car breaking down or a medical bill. Just enough to not borrow more. Why start here? Because without this cushion, you will go backwards. You'll pay off $200 of debt, then an emergency hits, you borrow $300 again. You're worse off. So the first move is always, get a small safety net. This takes maybe 30 to 60 days if you're earning decent income. Could be longer. That's okay. Don't rush it. Just get that $500 or $1,000 sitting somewhere separate. A high-yield savings account, not in your checking account. Now layer 2. This is where most people go wrong. They think, pay off all the debt. But that's not what works. Here's the move. Pay off high-interest debt first. High interest means 6% and above. Credit cards are usually 15% to 25%. Those are the ones destroying your wealth. Car loans at 5%, student loans at 4%. Those are different. But credit card debt? That's an emergency. Why does the interest rate matter? Because every dollar you pay toward 22% credit card debt is like getting a 22% return on your money instantly. You won't get 22% investing. You won't get it anywhere. So mathematically, paying that debt is the smartest investment you can make. Here's the math. $3,000 at 22% interest costs you $660 a year just in interest if you pay nothing. That's money leaving your life every single month helping no one. So, step 2. Attack high-interest debt hard. How hard? After you get that $500 emergency fund, every extra dollar goes to the highest interest debt. Credit card first, then the next one. You're in attack mode. This could take 3 months, could take a year. Depends on your income and how much debt you have. But the momentum is real. You're watching a number go down. The interest is shrinking. You feel it. Now layer 3. Your high-interest debt is gone. Credit cards are paid off, but you still don't have a real emergency fund. You have $1,000. That's not enough if you lose your job. It's not enough for a real crisis. So step 3. Build a real emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses. If you spend $2,000 a month, you want $6,000 to $12,000 sitting in savings. Why now and not before? Because you're ready. You've already destroyed the high-interest debt. Your monthly budget isn't getting crushed by credit card payments anymore. You have breathing room. Now you can build real security. This might take 6 months, might take a year. You're putting money aside every month. It's not exciting like paying off debt, but it's real. You're building something that protects your life. Once you have that emergency fund, only then do you think about investing. Investing in stocks, ETFs, retirement accounts. Not before. After. That's the order that works. Let me show you why this order beats every other approach. Imagine 2 people. Both have $3,000 in credit card debt. Both want to get their financial life together. Person A skips the emergency fund. They attack the debt aggressively, pays off $2,000 in 3 months. They feel like a hero, but then a medical bill hits, $500. They don't have it. They borrow it on a credit card. Back to square one. Person B starts with a small emergency fund, takes 2 months, then attacks the debt, pays off $2,000 in 4 months instead of 3. But when that medical bill hits, they have the money. They don't borrow. They keep going forward. Person B wins, not because they're smarter, but because they built in the right order. They had protection. That protection let them keep moving forward. Now let's talk about the counterintuitive part. What if you have high-interest debt and the option to invest? What if your company matches 401k contributions? Here's what wins. Get the match, then attack the debt. A 401k match is free money. If your company gives you 4%, take it. That's not optional. But after that, the high-interest debt comes first. Because again, math. 22% credit card debt is worse than missing a 7% investment gain. The debt is actively hurting you. The missed investment is just opportunity cost. One is certain pain. The other is hypothetical loss. I know this feels wrong. Your brain wants to do everything at once. Save and invest and pay debt. But that's exactly why most people fail. They do everything, so they do nothing well. This order is intentional. It's designed for someone starting from zero, someone with $1,000 to their name and $5,000 in debt, someone who feels stuck. Here's what happens when you follow it. Month 1 and 2. You scrape together $500 or $1,000 for emergency fund. You feel the first win. Something is building. Month 3 to month 8. You attack high-interest debt. Every paycheck, you hit it. The number goes down every month. Your credit card statement shows less interest. You feel momentum. Your credit score starts improving because your debt-to-credit ratio is getting better. Month 9 to month 18. You build a real emergency fund. You're not rushing. You're not stressed. You're adding to it consistently. One day you realize, I have 6 months of expenses saved. I have real security. Month 19 onward. Now you invest. You open an investment account. You start putting money in ETFs or stocks. Your retirement account is growing. You're building wealth, not just managing debt. That's the full picture. That's the order that actually works. Not because it's fast, but because it's stable. Now, what if your situation is different? What if you have no debt? Then you skip layer 2. Just build emergency fund, then invest. What if you have low-interest debt like a mortgage or student loan? Then you might build a bigger emergency fund before attacking that debt. This order is flexible for your life, but the principle is the same. Tiny emergency fund first, high-interest debt second, big emergency fund third, then invest. Here's what I want you to do this week. Not today. This week. Write down your debt. Every dollar. Write down the interest rate on each one. Put a star next to anything 6% and above. Then write down your emergency fund. How much do you have right now? Be honest. Then calculate. How much do you need to get to $500 or $1,000? That's your first target. Not paying off debt, not investing, getting to that first milestone. Once you know that number, you can move. You have a plan. Not a giant scary plan. Just the next $200 or $300. That's real. The reason this works is simple. You're not choosing between debt and savings anymore. You have an order. You have steps. You stop feeling paralyzed and you start moving forward. I know the question felt impossible at the start. Should you pay debt or save? Now you know. Both. In this order. Tiny cushion first. Attack high interest second. Build real safety third. Then invest. That order is the difference between struggling for years and actually building wealth. It's not about willpower. It's about doing the steps in the right sequence. Your next move is simple. Write down your debt and your emergency fund. Figure out how much you need to get to $500. That's it. That's where you start. Not investing. Not crushing all debt. Just that first small win. You've got this. The order is clear. And once you start moving, the momentum builds fast.